Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I am so happy to be filming for you here today. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on this channel, we're all about real makeup for real life and real people. Today's video, as you might have seen from the title, is another ranking recent purchases. If you're new to this series, every other month I do a ranking recent purchases, and it's typically over 2 months, and it's typically a couple of months past. So this month I'm reviewing and ranking the products that I purchased or received in March and April this year. I feel like this is just a good way to share with you guys my final thoughts on everything that's come into my collection, whether it's been featured in a video or not. So let's go ahead and get started. I do like to rank like against like as much as possible. I don't feel like it's fair to rank an eyebrow pencil against an eyeshadow palette because the eyeshadow palette's going to win every time. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the miscellaneous category. So I have 3 products to rank for you this month, and coming in at number 3 is the Kosas Air Fluff and Hold Treatment Gel. Love the packaging. This does have a nice hold. It's not going to be like the ABH Clear Brow Gel, which is like glue for your brows, but it is a nice holding gel. I feel like it lasts throughout the day. You get very little product on the brush, which I like. I'd rather dip back in to add more product and fluff up the brows versus coming in with a lot of product right off the bat and having to brush that through. Do I think it's a necessary product in terms of its price and all of that? No, I think another drugstore brow gel would suffice in place of this one, but I am glad that I tried it, and it is fun to pull out this beautiful packaging every day. Coming in at number 2 is something I have very much enjoyed, but again, utilitarian, and it is the E.L.F. Shape and Stay Wax Pencil. It's more of a crown than a pencil, but it rolls up, and this is wax. And what I use this for is the first step in my brow routine. I put this all through both of my brows, comb them up with a spoolie, which is beautiful. It holds them in place while I pencil them in. And the other thing I like about this is it adds some texture to my brows, and that way anything that I do put on top, whether it be pencil, tinted brow gel, etc., it really sticks and adheres to the hairs of my brows. And then coming in at number 1 is a mascara. I've mentioned it multiple times here on my channel already, and that is the E.L.F. Lash It Loud Mascara. This surprised me. I was a little intimidated right off the bat. These sort of spiky silicone brushes aren't always my favorite. I tend to stab myself in the waterline when applying with a brush like this, but this is a beautiful mascara, and I don't stab myself very often much anymore, but even if I do, it's totally worth it. This mascara finds lashes that I didn't even know I had. But the thing I like about it is that it does that, but at the same time, it's very defining and very lengthening, which is what I'm looking for in a mascara. So I'm really enjoying this. The price is right on this one, very affordable. And if you tend to like this type of a wand, you probably would really like this. It is a nice wet formula, but it's not gloopy at all because you don't get a ton off on the brush. By the way, this is what my hair looks like naturally without a ton of product in it. I forgot to take my new container of curl cream into the shower with me this morning, and I just put my leave-in in and called it a day. All right, next is base products, and then we'll get into something a little bit more exciting. I have 8 base products to rank for you today. And starting at number 8, the most expensive out of all of these products was not my favorite experience, and that is Tatcha, the Silk Powder. I like the texture of this powder. What I don't like about it is that it has sparkles. in it. Literal sparkles, which you of course aren't going to be able to see. It is nice and finely milled. I also think that this is not a powder for my skin when I'm at the oily part of the year during the warmer months when I might be sweating more, things like that. This is not enough. It tends to make my skin look not just glowy but greasy, and I think it just doesn't set my product well enough, whatever might be underneath of it. So I'm unfortunately past the date where I can return this to Sephora, and that's my bad for not keeping better track. I tried, but they wouldn't take it back. So I'm stuck with this. I think I may work on like panning this or something come the cooler months, because it's not a favorite, and I'm really bummed about that because that was not a cheap powder. All right, coming in at number 7, again, unfortunately, is a product that I've had too long to return, so I will make use of it in my collection, and you never know. My feelings could change. That does happen. We're all human. But coming in at number 7 is the Too Faced Born This Way Multi-Use Sculpting Concealer. I have the shade Vanilla. This is a good shade match for me. The problem with this one is that it is quite full coverage and not super hydrating on the under eye. I just remember so many people raving about this concealer for so long, and so I had finally purchased it with my beauty budget one month, and I really felt underwhelmed with this product. It doesn't always look the best under my eyes. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'll use it up as a foundation at some point, but it just is not a favorite of mine, and that's why it comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is the other powder that I have purchased most recently, and unlike the Tatcha, this falls where it does because of the excitement factor. It is in fact just a powder, but it is a nice powder. It's really, really beautiful. Again, like the Tatcha, I think it's better suited to my skin come the cooler months when I'm not sweating so much. But that is the Dior Backstage Powder No Powder. I picked up the shade 2N, and this is really beautiful. It almost feels kind of dry when you put your finger into it, but then when you rub your fingers together, it does feel very silky and almost creamy, dare I say. So if you had dry skin, you would absolutely love this powder, I think. Unless you really like your skin to be like mattified or what have you. This does set my makeup in place, but it doesn't help in terms of oil breakthrough, makeup breakdown, shine, things like that. But I do really like this powder. I don't have any regrets about purchasing it. Number 5 comes from my video that I did, which was a full face of E.L.F. It's the E.L.F. Mint Melt Cooling Primer. I really like this. This is definitely, in my opinion, comparable to the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer, which I have tried multiple times through samples. So it does eventually get sticky and like tacky on your face, which may not be the most desirable feeling right off the bat for a lot of people. However, I really think that this holds on to my foundation or base products really well, keeps them in place. It definitely adds hydration to the skin. The one difference about this one compared to the Milk one that you should know, it is fragranced. It has a like sweet mint smell to it, and it also does feel cooling on the skin. I think it works well. It smells nice. The experience of putting it on is nice, and I'm glad that I picked that up. Number 4 has been quite a journey. And it's not that I don't like this product, but I have determined that products like this just aren't right for me most of the time. And that is the Pat McGrath Labs, what are you called? Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Concealer. I picked up the shade L7. This is so full coverage. So full coverage. And because I don't wear a lot of full coverage base products on my face, sometimes a full coverage concealer can look a little weird under the eyes. But if I go in with the teeny tiniest amount and really work it in and melt it in to the under eye with the warmth of my fingers, and then go back in with a beauty blender or sponge of some type after, it does work nicely. It has this beautiful, this is glass, and so it does feel luxurious, and I really was curious about it because so many people tout this as like their holy grail concealer. So it's not a tippy top for me, but I have figured out how to make it work for me, and I do think I will enjoy using it up. Number 3 is the last concealer for today, and it is one, actually I feel like I was influenced by the same person to buy both of these, and that is Julia Adams MUA. Watch at your own risk because I buy a lot of stuff, but it is the Milk Flex Concealer. Milk Makeup Flex Concealer. This is the shade Light Sand. It is a good shade match for me. This is beautiful. I think this is a very good lightweight everyday sort of concealer. I'd say this is a solid medium concealer, but I can sheer it out to more of a light coverage. It's hydrating, it's lightweight, it's very easy to apply, blends out beautifully whether you have base products on or not, and I just really like this concealer. Number 2 is something I waited on for quite a while, but I am glad that I finally picked it up, and that is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Tinted Moisturizer. I picked up the shade Light 6W. This is a beautiful shade match for me, and I love the formula. This is a very lightweight formula. It's a tinted moisturizer. It's not a BB cream or a CC cream or foundation. This is sheer to light coverage, but it's just enough for me a lot of days. If I need to wear concealer, a lot of times I do want to wear at least a sheer face coverage product of some sort, and this works really well for this. It's creamy, it's lightweight, it's not so hydrating that someone like me with comboed oily skin is just going to look like a greasy mess halfway throughout the day. Definitely have to set this one with something really good. I wish I would have listened to myself and bought this first versus the Pretty Fresh foundation, because I'm still not a fan of that foundation. I do want to try mixing that one with this one at some point, but there you go. Oh, I lied to you. There's one more concealer, and it comes in at number 1. This was a complete shocker for me, and to be fair, I had taken a break from purchasing from this brand for a while, but it's just a brand that I love and always have, even as a young girl playing with makeup. It's the Wet n Wild MegaLast Incognito All Day Full Coverage Concealer in the shade Light Beige. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. This is one of the most hydrating, creamy concealers I've ever tried. It's so beautiful. I love it. And of course, I completely respect your decision if you choose not to purchase from Wet n Wild, but if you do and you haven't tried this yet, boy, do I recommend this. Especially if you tend to have a little bit of texture or lines under your eyes where other concealers might sort of pool in the creases or the crinkles of your eyes. I just think this is fantastic. Let's talk about some fun stuff. Colored face products are next. I only have 4, which is really strange for me. I like all of these products very much, as a matter of fact, but I have to rank them somewhere, and coming in at number 4 is the Tower 28 Beach Please Buildable Luminous Color for Cheeks and Lips, and this is in the shade After Hours. It is a beautiful berry shade, and I don't regret having picked this shade because it is more unique to my collection, and I had been sort of longing for a cream berry blush. But this, you gotta be careful. Like, you can see there, I mean, that was, I barely touched in. Blended out though, it is really pretty. It's kind of similar to the blush I have on today, which is NARS Dulce Vita. The other thing about this, why it falls where it does, is it does stay, I don't even want to say tacky or sticky or anything like that, because it's not quite that intense, but it doesn't set down completely. So like if you would throw your hair at your face or have a breeze or whatever, you might have some hairs that would stick to your face. So if that doesn't bother you, then super. But that's why this one fell where it did. Coming in at number 3, I think this was a Sephora promotion code. I got one for myself, and I also sent one to my girl Angela. She has already finished hers. And that is the Say Super Glowy Dewy Highlighter in the shade Star Glow. Looks like this. It's an airless pump. It's one of those sort of creamy highlight products like the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter, and that you can apply it or use it in a myriad of different ways. You can mix it in with products, you can put it under your base product, you can use it as a liquid highlighter. It's super lightweight. It is definitely like a gel, and it's just a really beautiful natural glow. If no matter how you use this product, whether it's mixed in or on top or whatever, it's going to look natural. It's going to be like beautifully natural. Nobody's gonna be like, oh, look at her highlighter, or you know, ooh, that's a pretty glowy whatever that you have on today. It's just going to look like a natural glow, and who doesn't want that? Coming in at number 2 is a product I longed for a long time, and that is the Fenty Beauty Sun Stalker Instant Warmth Bronzer. I got the first shade, which is In the Sun, and I do really love this bronzer. Did it like change my life? No. But I really wanted to try this. I see so many people that have this and still use this. They have pan on this, which the formula is quite soft. I could see why people would hit pan on this, kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Powder. People hit pan on that all the time. It's because it's so soft and finely milled. I think this is similar, but I love this. I love the cream bronzer from Fenty, and so I absolutely wanted to try this one. I'm glad I picked it up. It is silky, it is smooth. I think that this is probably one of the most idiot-proof bronzers, if you will, because it is just so easy to apply and blend. So I'm really glad that I picked this one up. It's a beautiful bronzer if you've been looking for one. It is matte, however. And then coming in at number 1 in this category is the E.L.F. Primer Infused Shimmer Blush in the shade Always Hazy. It took me forever to get a hold of this. I finally had to order it off of the E.L.F. website when I got ready to do that full face of E.L.F. video that I mentioned earlier. But this is stunning. I could easily see this becoming like a favorite sort of everyday blush. It's very nude, maybe slightly rosy, and it just has a nice sheen to it. There's no glitter or anything like that in there. It's just beautiful, but it is like their other primer infused matte blushes in that it's very, very smooth. So again, idiot proof if you're new. If you're a beginner, beginner's probably better than idiot proof, forgive me. But it's just beautiful. I love this thing, and I definitely recommend these primer infused shimmer blushes if you have not tried them. It's just such a wonderful formula, and this color especially trips my trigger. If I do eyeshadow next, are you gonna stick with me for lips? I hope you will. Next is eyeshadow, and I had 6 eyeshadow palettes in this 2-month period. And coming in at number 6, again from that full face of E.L.F. video, it is one of the E.L.F. Mint Melt Quads. This is the one that is meant to be. And the reason this one falls down at number 6 is I just don't think the quality of this one is as good as the other one which is chocolate mint, which you'll see shortly. This shade can be a little patchy. It's kind of a dusty green. And it's also not a shade that I feel like would be flattering on a lot of people. But the main reason why it falls where it does are these two. The main reason it falls in last place for palettes is the two shimmer shades here. They're very chunky and not at all comparable in quality. Again, not only to the other Mint Melt quad, but to the other quads that I own in this bite-sized format. They're just kind of chunky and flaky, and I don't love eyeshadow that does that. Because they're chunky, they're harder to apply. Even in the swatch, they're a little patchy, and so I just didn't think that the quality was consistent with the rest of the bite-sized eyeshadows that I've tried. Next at number 5 is the Alter Ego Luster Charm palette. This is a dupe for the Pat McGrath Mothership 7 Divine Rose palette. I did do a video, a multi-look video with this palette, so I'll link that for you in the cards and down below. This is really beautiful, fantastic quality. I can't say whether this is comparable formula-wise, etc. to the Pat McGrath palette, but I can say that I do love this palette. You've got a couple of duochrome shades in here. The two mattes, this dusty rose and this warm brown, are really beautiful and easy to blend. And also, I feel like there's at least 3 one shadow looks that I would love to do in here. And then this little topper number is so glittery and beautiful. It's really over any of the shades in the palette. It is just glossy and shimmery, so beautiful. So I really enjoyed this palette. I'm glad that I jumped the gun and grabbed it right away because I was just so excited about Alter Ego, a brand that I love, doing, you know, kind of taking a new direction and starting to dupe some Pat McGrath palettes versus Natasha Denona. So I'm really excited. Coming in at number 4 is a palette that's actually in my Shop My Stash for June, and that is the ABH Norvina Collection Volume 4. I also have Volumes 1 through 3, and it looks like this. Isn't this pretty? I really like this. There are a few drawbacks to this palette, however. There are 2 pressed glitters, and I'm very careful with my eyes. I only have 2 of them, and I'd like to keep them both if possible. So there's that. But I also feel like most of the shimmers in here, unfortunately, are more of a sheer topper formula. And while I don't mind a sheer topper formula, I don't want all the shades in the palette to be that formula. But I still like the colors in here. I really enjoy the mattes in here. There's a couple of really fun colors. I think these 2 down here are lovely, even though they are more of that topper formula. They're really pretty, sort of duochrome colors, and they'd be great as a topper. I do like using toppers, but like I said, I wish there was more of the regular metallic formula in here, because that's part of what I love about the first 3 volumes are the metallic shades. Next at number 3 is the BH Cosmetics Blueberry Muffin Palette. I don't think you guys have seen any content relating to this palette yet on my channel. Let me know if you would like to see a multi-look video or something, but I love this. If you're not into blue, I totally understand, but there is a lot else in here that this has to offer. I love this shade up here called Crumble. It's got to be one of the most beautiful sort of shell pink lid shades that I've ever played with. It's just a beautiful shade. It's something I would consider trying to hit pan on at some point because I love it so much. There are a couple of duochromes in here. The mattes in all of these palettes that are formatted like this, whether it was like the travel collection or this brunch collection or what have you, The mattes are phenomenal. I'll swatch this one right here for you. It's so pretty. Really, really pretty. And then one more, this shade Tempting. It's kind of like sneaky how pretty it is. And it is also sort of a duochrome shade. So I do really like this palette. I love the quality. No disappointments in picking it up. It is more of a color story that I think I would wear more in like winter and spring, but there's still like everyday looks in here to be had, and I'm glad I bought it for sure. And while we're on that subject, coming in at number 2 is the Avocado Toast Palette from Beige Cosmetics, and this just really trips my trigger. You got yellow, you've got peachy tones, warm tones, greens, you've got duochromes in here. There's just so much versatility in this palette. It would be a great everyday palette for somebody who likes green or wears a lot of green, because you do have some neutrals to work with in here. You do have some that are not green in here. I love this shade up here called Avocado, and then the shade right below it, which is Lemon Pepper. They are so beautifully shiny and lovely. Kind of a lemony green and a beautiful sort of pearly champagne. And then I also really love this shade up here, which is called Expensive, because avocados can be expensive depending on where you live. Look at that. Would have really gone well with my shirt today. Shame on me. Was using Project Pan stuff, okay? I also really appreciate the inclusion of a black shade in here. You've also got some deeper metallics as well as lighter metallics. So I just think this is a really nice palette. I think no matter what square palettes like this with the square pans that you might find on the BH website or on Ulta, I don't think you would be disappointed with the quality at all. These are really nice and they're really fun too. So coming in at number 1, any guesses? Boom! It is the E.L.F. Mint Melt Chocolate Mint palette. I love this palette. To me, this is perfectly well-rounded. I really feel like they didn't need to do another palette besides this one, because this one was done really, really well. All of the shades in here work really nicely, and I also like that you can get a full look out of these shades. You can get a green look, you can get a neutral look, like they're just all good. And that mint green is just the perfect mint green. Like I said, I don't think they really need to make the other palette, because the other palette, the quality was not there, but the quality is absolutely in this palette. The shimmers are very smooth, buttery, and metallic, just like the other bite-sized shadows that I've tried. All right, last category is lips, and I have 4, starting with number 4. This product I don't like for my lips, but I do like it for another purpose. It is the NARS Air Matte Lip Color in the shade Joyride. It is pretty much the color of this packaging, which I do appreciate with lip products, but this is what it is. It's sort of a orangey coral shade. I don't like this on my lips. It reminds me a lot of the NYX Soft Matte Lip Creams. It's moussey. It's definitely matte, but I just didn't love this on my lips. But as a cream blush, this is stunning. Looks like that on the cheeks. And so basically, I don't like this for lips. Like I said, with my lip color and everything, it just didn't look good on me. But I kept it because I tried it on my cheeks as well, and I love it as a cheek. So yay. Number 3 is a new line of lipsticks, or newer line of lipsticks from L'Oreal. It is their L'Oreal Color Riche Les Nudes Intense. And this shade is New Irreverent. It's so pretty. It's really, really similar to Charlotte Tilbury Walk of No Shame. And it's also similar to Pat McGrath Fever Dream, which was on my wish list, but I can now cross off. This does have a sheen to it. It's not metallic, it's not sparkly or shimmery. It just has a little bit of a golden shift or luminosity to it. I think it's beautiful for summer. I just really like this. It's sort of a really wearable coral red, which I like. Number 2 is something I use all the time behind the scenes, frequently. Number 2 in the lip category is something I use all the time behind the scenes. You typically don't see me using it because I either use it while I'm doing my makeup or I put it on my lips if I'm going to do an eyeshadow demo so that my lips don't look crazy pale or whatever. But it's the E.L.F. Tinted Lip Oil. This shade happens to be Nude Kiss, and not only do I love this formula, I really enjoy the color as well. It's just a nice warm pinky color. I think any color that you found that you liked would be nice. It's got enough tenacity to it that it does cling to the lips a little bit, unlike a lot of oils that are just more oily and you sip from a straw one time and it's going to be gone. This is a little bit more tenacious than that, and it's just very comfortable, very nourishing on the lips, and I'm glad I tried it. Lastly, but not leastly, another E.L.F. product. We're very E.L.F. heavy today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 E.L.F. products today. You can tell this was the month that I did the full face of E.L.F. Anyhow, number 1, E.L.F. Seriously Satin Lipstick. I picked up the shade Toffee, and this is such a fun pink color. I think it's great for spring, great for summer. It's just a lovely color, but it's also a really good, sort of straightforward cream lipstick formula. I find that it's kind of long lasting. It's kind of a little bit thicker than some other cream formulas, so it does really cling to the lips. So and they're uber cheap. They're like $2 or $3. And so I really enjoy this. I think if you found a shade that you like, you might enjoy this formula. And that, my friends, is a wrap. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today while I rank these products that I picked up in March and April. Next month, instead of a ranking recent purchases, we'll be kicking off again a recent series that I started doing, which is my current makeup wish list and what I'm using instead. Let me know down below, what is your top ranked product that you purchased in the last couple of months? And again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you haven't already, I would love to have you subscribe, and then you'll be able to find the rest of my videos more easily on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday when I typically upload. Thank you, thank you. I love your faces, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in the next one real soon.